So I talked about this the other day about Ireland's population hitting 5 million. So I'm going to touch on Cavan, for example. Obviously because it's local here. I'm from Cavan originally, so I have to really cover about it because it is quite a change in population from 1841, for example. 245,000 people used to live in this county. Now it's barely 86,000 at most. It's nearly getting up in the 100,000, but it's not it's not that. At one stage back, way back in the 17th century, I think it was nearly 30. I'm very bad with numbers. 300,000 or something like that. I'm very bad in pronouncing numbers, so forgive me for that. So 240, 50, 400, 400, 400, like Jesus Christ, I'm terrible with numbers. But yeah, just say 200,000. They're just way over a bit of 200,000. Let's put it that way. At one stage, it was 300,000. Can't speak to save my life, isn't that right? But you think Cavan people would be good at money, but you look at, the money's in the bank. We don't even look at it. We just make sure it's safe and sound, and then nobody touches it. Because we have an endless amount of money, so we don't even know how much we have. But yeah, it's a quite change. This is really a quite change. Like we're only nearly at the 100,000 mark. And again, you think about Cavan. Cavan's a big enough town. Cavan's a big enough county town too. Like in Cavan town alone, I think the last census said it was nearly 13,000 in Cavan town, and the town surrounding the whole town itself. In Cavan town alone. So that's obviously, and then obviously the towns make up for the vast majority of the population. And obviously that's changed a lot. But again, as I say about Cavan Day, the good thing about Cavan Day, which I want to talk about too, that really during the famine, this is before the famine, 1845, between the famine happened in 1840s. A lot of Cavan people, a lot of them unfortunately starved and died. And a lot emigrated, particularly to the US. And there's a huge amount of Cavan, and obviously to Canada too. A lot of Cavan people went to Canada along with the US from the United States to Canada. While there's a big, huge Cavan community in Toronto, there's a huge, big Cavan society there in Toronto, Cavan Mountain Society. Like there's a huge amount of them in Toronto. Same in other parts of America too. There's a huge amount of Cavan people. And then obviously we have New Zealand and other countries which emigrated over time because obviously Cavan was a rural county, very rural county, really just a backwoods county, not much happening in Cavan. During them, obviously the 1800s and then going into the 19th century, very little happening. Should I say the 20th century, very little happening in Cavan. There's not really, there wasn't much going on, I suppose. There wasn't much work and things like that. So a lot of people did emigrate to the UK and to Australia, New Zealand, to all across the Commonwealth of the United Kingdom. A huge amount of Cavan people everywhere. Like in nearly every country around the world, there's a few Cavan people somewhere, and I think that's the last time. But in total, around the whole world, we did kind of a thing in the last Cavan Day. In total, around the whole world, Cavan people, we take originally from Cavan, or people who have Cavan blood in them, let's put it that way. We nearly have 1 million across the whole world, which is a lot. 1 million people. With Cavan heritage, or with our Cavan blood really, that are living around the world. And then there's many who have an interest in the county, from the father or from the mother living in Cavan or working in Cavan or coming from Cavan. But it is interesting to see the huge reduction in the population, particularly in them last few years, because we can see in the next census when it was done that it was down to nearly 100,000. That's obviously a lot. So that's a lot of people gone, and probably unfortunately a lot of them starved too. From 245k, take for example, it went down to 105 or something like 105k or something like that. So it was a big reduction for a small county again. It was a big reduction, but in Leitrim seen a lot because 150k I think it was in Leitrim. 150k I think it was in Leitrim. During the stage 2 in the 1841 census. And obviously Leitrim today there's only 32,000 people, so that's obviously a lot worse than what Cavan got. But again, you can see the correlations I'm making. But anyway, take care everybody and be safe.